Hey everyone, it's Chris. It looks like spring 2018 has finally sprung. It is April 11th and this is our first really warm day of this season. So even though it's going to be getting up into the upper 60s today, last Saturday, today's a Wednesday, last Saturday we actually had lows in the teens, and so haven't had a chance to really plant anything out yet in the garden just because it's been really too cold and too wet. But we even have snow on the ground right now, but that's all going to be melted today. I want to take you around the Discovery Gardens here at the McDonough County Extension Office and just kind of show you what's transpired over this past winter. Mostly for some of our younger trees that didn't fare so well, they encountered a couple deer along the way this winter. So I want to show you our weeping willow, our bald cypress, both got hit pretty hard by deer rubbings, and then our small magnolia tree also got pretty much nipped on the top there from all of the deer herds. I would call them herds. I would say some of them are at least 15 to 20 strong that have moved through the garden here over the winter months. These deer in winter can be pretty bold. They even came in right up against the office here and they nipped off a lot of our spring bulb plants here in the front of the office, right in front of the main office window. You can actually see there the herd's tracks right through the mulch here. So that's a nice little deer salad bar right here. I believe they're munching on the grape hyacinths. Another thing that happened this winter, and not very uncommon, is the sycamore tree. The large sycamore tree here dropped a lot of small limbs. Sycamores are pretty much known for dropping lots of debris, but this is a little bit different because I would say 3 or 4 years ago this tree actually encountered quite a bit of root disturbance because they had to trench in a new sewer line for the office here. So I think the biggest response here from that is now this tree is losing a lot of limbs because it lost a lot of root growth several years ago. It can take many years for a tree actually to exhibit symptoms of construction damage. Everything else seemed to do pretty well. Our garlic that we have planted in the front of the extension office is in this nice little southern microclimate, and so it's actually survived fairly well through the winter. The garlic that we have planted out in the actual garden here, though, it actually did fairly well. We had a really warm December, and so what happened is it sprouted, it started growing, and then the actual winter that we experienced, really cold, freezing weather, hit us in January, knocked the garlic back to the ground, and then, you know, we're still kind of waiting to see that recover here out farther away from the building, more in an open exposed area. But very pleased with the garlic that we planted up against the building. Today being like the first warm day of spring, this is going to be the first time we're going to have to vent the high tunnel to make sure that these cool season veggies don't get too hot. We really need to keep them under about 65 degrees Fahrenheit with the sun and the plastic over the high tunnel and the sun coming in. It's not uncommon for the potting mix, the potting media in these flats to get over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We get that, we wind up stressing out the plants with heat, even though it's only, you know, 65 degrees outside. So today we're going to be opening up the sides of the high tunnel, venting it, making sure we get plenty of airflow through here and that the seedlings here don't get too hot. So the other thing that we have to do today is we're going to take the low tunnel down. We're still going to get a couple cool nights, but I think the remaining plants in there, they'll do fine with some cooler nights. And if it gets really cold, like down in the 20s, you know, I'll throw some row cover over top of the plants. But I'm not too worried about them now. Just really also eager to get the low tunnel cover off and see what's going on underneath there. After I took off the plastic and the row cover from the low tunnel, it was kind of a delightful surprise in that the crops look great. We have some kale, we have some cabbage, some spinach left over in here. But we're going to also have to deal with a lot of the weeds that started growing up in here. It was nice and warm, perfect environment for plants, and weeds being one of them. Did pretty well. We even have dandelions that have gone from flowering. Now they have full seed heads here. And so when it comes to perennial weeds like dandelion, you know, we could run the flame weeder through these beds and knock them back, but that won't kill them. They'll just come back. So we're going to go ahead, pull things out by hand. That's the best way to address perennial established weeds in a garden bed, is just pull them out by hand. And after that, we'll probably cultivate, top dress with some compost, maybe even get some things planted. The soil in the raised beds is nice and warm. I would say it's up 55 plus degrees, and it's dry. It's ready for planting, and so really excited to get some of these cool season crops in the ground out here. So just a couple days ago, we had about a dozen guys come out from the WIU business fraternity and help us spread about 10 tons of gravel in the walking paths of the gift garden. And that was a huge help, so big thanks go out to them. I'm not usually a huge fan of putting rocks on soil, but in terms of walking lanes, it's going to work really well for us. And one of the reasons why we are growing in raised beds here is because this is a former driveway, and also kind of a place where IDOT stored a lot of equipment when they were expanding the nearby highway here. So the soil here is not very good to begin with. It's already full of gravel and asphalt, so it wasn't really a terrible concern to be putting gravel on this, so that our feet stay a little bit drier, a little bit easier to control weeds also. You know, so we'll see how using gravel here in the walking lanes go, if there's any detrimental effects like the increased amount of heat that this gravel will absorb. And you know, we'll give more updates on that in the future. Also had a big old load of compost delivered. We're going to use that to top dress our beds. We expanded the gift garden this winter. We added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We added 8 garden beds. We put in a row for garlic, and we have now secluded a little spot here in the corner for asparagus that we're going to be planting this year. So we got a lot of stuff happening this year. Really excited for some of the developments. There's going to be more videos coming out now that spring has finally sprung. So looking forward to chatting more with you. If you have any questions, get in touch with your local University of Illinois Extension office. Keep on growing. Thanks for watching.